Hello everyone, and welcome back to Crypto Bytes, where we discuss all things crypto, DeFi, airdrops, and more. My name's Brian, and we're back in the 50K challenge. It is now July 1st, and we're ready to kick things off. If you haven't watched my last few videos, I go in a deeper dive on all the different protocols we'll be investing in or on over the next 6 months to complete this challenge. But today I wanted to jump into the actual spreadsheet of how I'm allocating my capital, where I'm allocating my capital, what I think is going to be made from each of these. And then this is going to be a tracking sheet that each of you can follow along with if you wish as we go along. And I'll be posting updates, maybe once or twice a week on this specific challenge in addition to the normal videos on this channel. But yeah, let's go through each and hopefully this is of some value to you. Okay, so this is kind of the spreadsheet that I put together to track this. And let me just kind of go through each of these so you understand what it means. So yeah, as you know, the way that this challenge goes is we're starting with $10,000 today, and the goal is to turn that into over $50,000 by the end of 2025. So by January 1st, 2026. We want to turn this into $50,000. And so how we do that is I've basically broken out, these are kind of the different categories. I'm investing into some like stablecoin protocols, some different Sui protocols, BTC that's mainly just buying them on perp exchanges and farming those airdrops at the same time. Ether, a couple plays there. Sonic, a couple plays there. Hype, a big part of the portfolio. And then finally Solana. So let me go through each of these. And then, so those are kind of the categories. And then these are the different applications within each category. Then you see starting here in column C, this is the initial starting capital we have in each of these different protocols. Column D here I've called upfront APY. So this is basically how much I expect to make from this on an annualized basis. Yeah, so as you can see, they range from 10%, some of them 500%, etc. So you'll see there 6-month earnings. So that's just simple math, multiplying this by the APY, dividing by half to get to this. And then airdrop is if it's applicable, which it's applicable to I think almost everything here. This is the anticipated airdrop I expect to get at some point in the next 6 months from these activities on these different protocols. And then these two columns basically added up plus the capital, the initial capital, that gives us to our year-end capital. And so if you come down to the bottom here, you'll see that on the surface that's only basically turning the 10,000 into 25,000. But what this isn't accounting for in this simple math here is that along the way as you're earning, I'm going to be, reinvesting everything. So, just that there, the compounding effect is going to bring this to, 35, 40,000. And then this is also not, this math is not considering any asset price appreciation between now July 1st to the end of the year. January 1st, 2026, which I do expect, we're not really betting on anything too risky here. We're Solana, Hype, Sonic, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Sui, and stablecoins. There are some like beta plays in these that we'll be doing, but for the most part, these are all, pretty high market cap assets. So I do expect, to see 50% to a doubling between now and the end of the year. So that takes, if that alone happens, then we're already going to be doubling this to 50,000. And then if you factor in compounding, it could be much more. So I've given myself a lot of freedom here that I think that hitting the 50,000, assuming that the market doesn't completely tank, we should be, pretty good on a number of fronts because of that asset price appreciation, because of the APYs that we're hitting, the airdrops, and then also the compounding effects. So I've already gone through all of these different protocols in my last 3 or 4 videos. Can't remember how many it's been so far. So I won't dive into each of these too deeply. What I will call out is, even though in the stablecoin category, these are on like different chains, but they're all mostly, I think these are all either like Base or Ethereum mainnet. So they're like Ethereum based, but I didn't want to put them in the Ethereum category. However, anything that I marked as kind of yellow here, which is Nemo on Sui, that's another stablecoin. We're going to be depositing stablecoins on there, but it's in Sui, so I left it there. And then also Huma on Solana, that's another stablecoin play, but it's on Solana, so I kept it there. So that's why those are colored. And then yeah, I just wanted to go through again a couple of my bigger bets, like the ones where you see that I've bet more than the others, and just do a quick overview again of what I'm planning to do on each of those. Couple things to, if you are trying to adopt any of this for your own portfolio, a couple of considerations that are in my mind, just so you understand why I've split it out this way, is so the reason why I have $1,000 on Turtle Club versus these other ones only 100 is that within Turtle Club, well, actually, let's just jump right into that. Within Turtle Club, so Turtle Club itself is running its own, points program currently. So you're going to get a airdrop from that. But then within that, you'll see that, they have all these different vaults that you can deposit into. I went into more detail on this in previous videos, but basically I focused on the stablecoin ones. Well, yeah, here you can see these are ones that I put into. So Turtle TAC, Multipli is a stablecoin protocol, so there will be another airdrop for this. Noon, that's another stablecoin protocol, so there will be an airdrop for that. Resolv, another stablecoin protocol, there will be an airdrop for that. You can see here all the different reward exposures that you'll get. So, you can, if you are going to get involved with Turtle Club, you can copy me, or you can just see in all of these. I would say to like invest in a few of them. And they also have ETH and Bitcoin ones that you can deposit into too if you want to be a little bit more aggressive instead of just holding stable coins on Turtle Club. But then you can see here the different airdrops that you might get by depositing into these different vaults. So that's why I have more money in Turtle Club. By the way, for my own personal portfolio, it is larger than this 10,000, but I didn't want to have to split up everything into smaller wallets just to do this challenge. So what I'm doing is basically just taking, this 10,000 is a percentage of my overall portfolio. So these numbers that I'm going to be showing here are how my portfolio are divided by whatever is necessary to get to this $10,000 number. And so that's what we're going to be tracking here, just in case you were wondering. Okay, so that's why I had Turtle more than the other ones. These are all just singular plays. Each of them are running an airdrop program. And so that's why it's less there. On Sui, each of these are their own protocols, so there isn't any 2-in-1 airdrop potential. But I do feel like Momentum is going to be the larger play. And we're earlier on there's still about like 12 weeks left of their airdrop campaign, whereas these other ones might be wrapping up before then. So if you are going to looking for a place to put your money in now, I would say that is probably Momentum's the best one. Again, let me show you how Momentum looks. So yeah, as you can see here, their TVL's been growing quite nicely as more and more people are learning about them. So I do think that the airdrop's going to be pretty good here. And then what I'm doing personally is you can see some of these APYs are crazy, and they are legit. They just don't last. I don't know about this one. This might be a newer token, but some of these they do range between a few hundred to sometimes like 1,000 or 2,000 if the market's crazy. So these are legit APYs if you have a tight enough range. For me, I've been pretty much going in between this deep USDC, the wall USDC, and then some of these like Sui, and then a USDC, or in this case FDUSD, one of the stablecoin derivatives. So I'm kind of going in between deep, wall, and Sui, whatever one is having the highest APY whenever I need to rebalance my LP here. That's the one I'm going into. So that's how I'm playing this momentum, liquidity trade. But all of them are always going to be like in the 3-digit APYs, if you have a tight enough range. So that's that one. Going back to the spreadsheet. So then as far as perpetual DEXs, I did a video which I'll link to in the description. And in that description, I have like 20 something perp DEXs that I'm currently or have been farming that are going to be having airdrops at some point this year. So, I'd say pick one or two of those. And then, what I'm doing is basically just kind of DCAing into a position on BTC on these, kind of selling at the highs of the weekly range, buying at the lows type of a thing. I'm doing a little bit more because I'm trying to get volume, which I've covered in that previous video. But yeah, more or less what this is kind of I'm building a BTC position because I do think we have higher to go this year. And then at the same time, you're farming the airdrops. So, pick one or two of those that you like the best and, focus on that. That's kind of what this is about. For this Kaio, so the reason why this one's higher than the others is because this is at the current price, what it would cost for you to have 500 Kaio staked. This is staked Kaio, by the way. And the reason for that is because basically Kaio, with all the partners that are on their protocol, they have their own airdrops and they typically will allocate to Kaio stakers. These airdrops happen every couple weeks, and I don't know if they've made it 100% clear, but typically, they have a cutoff for like how many Kaio you need to have staked in order to get those airdrops. So far, I've gotten, since I've been staking Kaio, I've gotten every single one with 500 Kaio. So I think, that's probably a good safe position to be in. If you're not as bullish on this as me, then, you can kill this one and maybe put it into one of these other ones instead. And by the way, you can do that with all this stuff. Like if you like some of the things that I'm advocating for, but don't like others, just cross out some of those other ones and add it to another one that I have here. Or, if you have something else that you think is better, do that too. This is just a framework and this is what I'll be following. And, as we go forward in the 6 months, I'm likely going to be, adding new ones, taking out old ones too. So this is going to be constantly changing. So that's what Kaio is. Bulla, let me show you that again. This is on Berachain. And so you can see here that they have some pretty crazy APYs on some of these pools. They are running their own airdrop, and then also your activities here earn you points on Infrared Finance, which is, I believe, still the largest DEX on Berachain. They're running an airdrop campaign too. So, even though Berachain isn't as hot as it was a few months ago, there's still enough people using it that I think between, you're getting a 2-in-1 airdrop here, then also you're getting some very nice APYs. And in this case, I am just focused on this ETH Honey pool. Honey is a stable coin, so it's basically ETH USDC pool. So my only exposure to Berachain's token is you get most of the rewards in ETH and Honey, but then you also get some rewards in Bera, and I just swap that into Ether Honey when I want to, basically compound my amount in this pool. So that's what I'm doing on Bulla. Arcadia Finance is the other one that I have in the ETH bucket. And with this one, you have a bunch of different options that you can do. It's basically a place where you can have, you're providing liquidity, but then you can add leverage to it if you want. Or they just have some different ways of handling it where, you actually can get higher APYs than what you might get on Aerodrome or Uniswap. 2 routes that you can go if you want to use this is one is the strategies, which is kind of a more set and forget type of a scenario where, you can pick, delta neutral strategies here. You can pick bullish crypto, bearish crypto. You can pick a couple other stablecoin focused ones. This is like BTC and ETH. So there's a bunch of different things, and then they kind of have their own strategy that they adjust automatically for you based on whatever each strategy is, comprised of. So you can read each of these to learn more if you're interested. Or you can come over to this farm area, which is what I do more so. And, you can, if you want to filter, you can just click on margin, and this is going to give you all the ones where you can actually add leverage to these positions. So that way, like in this case with this ETH USDC pool, normally it would yield 59, but if you max leverage it, you can get up to 387%. So yeah, you can see some of these. Let's sort by APY. Yeah, some of these can get quite high here, depending on, also obviously depends on the width of the range that you're setting. But then the nice thing with Arcadia Finance is they have automatic rebalancing, so that you can kind of still set and forget if you feel bullish on a specific pool and just don't want to check it that often. But for me, I check daily, but that's just me. So that's the ETH related stuff. Going back here, next is Sonic. So and then specifically Shadow on Sonic. So I know there's mixed feelings on Sonic, but I do think that it's been battered recently, the price at least, over the last few months, but it's starting to show signs of life now. They just finished season 1 of their large airdrop. They're just starting season 2 now. I do think that, well, one, you get very nice APYs, which I'll show you in a moment. But I also do think that, you're going to get price recovery here on the S token, and then also the season 2 airdrop is going to be decent. So that's why I'm still allocated to Sonic and why I have that in this portfolio. As far as the strategies of what I do on Shadow here, what I do is I basically, for the most part, I'm in this SUSDC pool, which you can see has a pretty nice APY. So I'm either there, I'm in this USDC ETH pool, which also has a good APY, or I'm in this ETH S pool, which also has a good APY. So I kind of take a look at the APYs every time that I need to rebalance my position, and then I'm kind of rotating between the three. But for the most part, this one always has the highest, so I'm in there the majority of the time. There's a lot of different pools, so you can take your pick and see what interests you the most. They also have a bunch of stablecoin pools too, so if you want to be safer, then you can do that as well. So that's Sonic. Hyper EVM. So as I mentioned, I dedicated one whole video to my Hyper EVM portion of this portfolio, and in that I basically said that I have the majority of my funds in the DEXs. So that's Hyperswap and now KittenSwap, Hyperswap, G-Liquid, and Hybrid are 2 newer ones. I don't have KittenSwap here at the top anymore, although I still use it because they just had their airdrop, and I don't know if they're going to have another one. So these DEXs have just as good, if not sometimes higher APYs than the KittenSwap does. So I'll put a little bit more here just so that I'm engaged with the protocol, but these have the highest APYs, and that's why I have the majority of my money there. And then all the rest of these that I have it in, I just have small amounts because I want to have a wide swath of a footprint on Hyper EVM, because Hyperliquid Season 2 is another potential airdrop that I think, based off of your activity on the entire chain, could play a part in how big your allocation is for that. So that's why I have a wide swath. If you don't like any of these, or you don't like some of them, just get rid of them and put more in the DEXs, or put more in one of these other ones if you like those instead. But yeah, that's pretty much my strategy with Hyperliquid and the different apps on that EVM. Let me show you on Hyperswap, which basically is the same strategy I have on all the DEXs, is that I'm rotating in between the Hype USDTO pool, the Hype UBTC pool, and then the Hype USDHL pool, whichever one has the highest APY at the time that I'm rebalancing my position. So like this is more in my mind because it is hype in a stablecoin. This is hype in a stablecoin. This is hype in BTC. For the most part, it's all kind of the same thing. If I see that hype UBTC or hype USDHL is close, this one's the one that typically has the highest APYs. In this case, USDHL has the highest one. But if I did see that these were close to this, I would sacrifice the upfront APY and go into one of these instead. And the reason being is because this UBTC and then the USDHL, those are two separate airdrops as well. So by depositing into these pools, you're potentially going to get allocation for those airdrops. So, I value those airdrops maybe 20-30% APY. So, if you see that this is 200% and this is these are like 100%, well, I'm still going to go with this one because that's more than the 20 or 30% APY that I'm expecting to get from the airdrop. So that's at least in my mind the way that I'm treating these. Again, there's a ton of different pools you can get into, including all stables if you desire. So, but that's pretty much how I'm playing my time on the different Hyper EVM DEXs, and not just Hyperswap, but the other ones too. Last but not least, let's get into Solana. So yeah, I've already gone at great detail into my strategy here, but just to summarize, HawkFi is a UX built on top of Meteora. This is probably my biggest play out of everything. So that way I'm getting a 2-in-1 airdrop by depositing into the different pools on HawkFi. You're also depositing into them on Meteora. Just make sure it's not one of these Oracle pools. You can sort by Meteora only if you want to make it easier for yourself. Depending on how much time you want to put into this, what I do is I basically sort the list and I'm going into all the different kind of meme coin and smaller cap pools to maximize the amount of fees and potential upside that I can. But I'm monitoring this like all day throughout the day. So if that's not you, then what you can do is I find that going in the Sol USDC pools, and there's a lot of them for Meteora, and depending on how often you can check, set a decently wide range, and you're not going to be making a ton of fees, but you can probably make 1% per day on your capital, so pretty decent. And then as far as the Meteora and HawkFi airdrops are concerned, they give you points based off of both the amount that you have deposited on a 24-hour basis as well as the fees generated. So even though you won't be making as many fees, you will earn points, so to speak, for the amount that you've deposited. So if you aren't going to check as often, or you're more risk averse, then going with that Sol USDC, or even there's stablecoin pools that you can get into as well if you really want to lower your risk. That's an option, and you'll still earn points. So if you want to know more in depth my strategies on these, I will link it in the description, but I have multiple videos on how I am farming HawkFi and Meteora. Another one of my bigger plays on Solana is Defy Tuna. So Defy Tuna, they already have taken a snapshot for their airdrop, and I don't think there's going to be another one. There might be. I don't know. They haven't said anything. It doesn't seem like there will be. But in either case, the APYs that you get here are fantastic, and so I don't really care if they have another one. I still have this in my portfolio. Just to kind of show you my strategy here is I'm more or less only sticking to this Sol USDT pool. Let me show you. They have a Sol USDC pool, but the yield, see, it's 0.148 24-hour yield on Sol USDC, but it's always, I've never seen it lower on Sol USDT. So yeah, it's 0.2. So that's why I stick with this one. There are other pools that you can get into if you want, but from there, let's say if I'm putting in $100. Okay, sorry about that. So I'm putting in $100, and then basically what I'm doing is, it really depends on the market, but right now, Sol is at just under 150 bucks. I think it's going to be ranging, somewhere between 135, 140, and then, 160 to 170-ish. So what I have right now is I basically have positions where I have at the low end 135, at the high end I have 165, and then for me, since I'm more bullish than bearish, I basically come here and I do max long on Sol, and then you can see here this is basically your liquidation point. So even though I have the bottom of the range at 135, the liquidation's at 143. So what I need to do is dial back this leverage to say 4.4, a little bit less. So yeah, 4.2 about, and then you can see by doing that, even with this pretty wide range, you're at almost a 10% in each direction. You're getting almost 1% per day from this, and then if Sol goes long and ultimately hits your target, then you're going to be getting, you're basically 4x leverage on Sol. So you're going to be earning a decent amount there. So that's why I like Defy Tuna, because it's the same thing as Meteora more or less, except for you can add leverage to it. So as long as you're careful and you set wide enough ranges, you are going to be making more here than you are on Meteora. It's a shame that they are only partnered with Orca and not Meteora, because then you could be getting a 2-in-1, but it is what it is, and because of that leverage, that's why I use this product the most. So yeah, that's a summary of that. And then the last product is Hilo, which I've talked about before. Two options here, depending on your risk profile. Is one, you can buy XSOL, and XSOL is basically 2.83 levered SOL, so almost 3 levered SOL. So you deposit 1 SOL, you get however that is in XSOL, and then the way that XSOL price moves is as if you had 2.83x leverage on Solana. So that's one option. The other option is they have a stable coin, which is kind of acts as their stability pool for this leverage, and it's currently paying just under 11% APY on that. So I have my funds just kind of evenly distributed on here, but I'm probably going to move it all into the XSOL because, like I said, I'm more or less bullish on things at the moment. And yeah, that's pretty much at a high level the entire portfolio, and also I went into details as to why I have more money in certain apps than others. I guess a couple things that I didn't touch on here. So with Jupiter, I don't know if that's that one, is Jupiter staking. So like I talked about before, with Jupiter, they pay out rewards every quarter for the amount and time that you have staked Jupe. So if you put in 250 now, you're going to get a reward in the end of Q3 and the end of Q4 as far as this challenge is concerned. And then you're also going to qualify most likely for some kind of allocation for the Jupiter airdrop that Jupiter does every January. So that's why I have this here. Plus, I think the price appreciation on Jupiter is going to go up, and also a lot of times you'll get certain benefits like whitelist allocations to new tokens that partner with Jupiter by having your Jupiter staked. So yeah, that's why I have this as a thing. So it's a similar kind of thing to Kaio. And then with Huma, I have 150 here for staked Huma. The reason for that is because they've said that they are, in their season 2 allocation, their season 2 airdrop that's coming up, you need to have a minimum of, I think it was 3,000 Huma, which is about 150 bucks. So in order for that to qualify for that, that multiplier, that bonus, you need to have at least that much. So that's why I have this much here. And then in this Huma / Camino section, I have 250. This is basically depositing into the PST / USDC pool. PST is the stablecoin from Huma. And so I have that here because that's basically my way of adding additional, earning additional points for the Huma Season 2 airdrop, and then also you're going to be earning points for the Camino Season 4 airdrop by doing this too. So that's why I have that one here. So yeah, I know that was a lot of information. I hope it's all clear. I'll put, again, links to all these different protocols in the description. I'll put a link to this portfolio tracker in the description too, so you can follow along. I'm going to be gone for a week or so, so I don't know if I'm going to get another video out before I leave, but I will be updating the portfolio. You know, you see here I have like every other day, and I'm going to be posting on my X account. So if you don't see any videos from me but you want to follow along, check me out there. But I will try and get more videos out before I leave, at least maybe even one while I'm away. So yeah, that is pretty much the 10K to 50K portfolio. It's going to be an interesting and exciting experiment for me to do. Hopefully it's going to be entertaining for you, and you know, maybe some of you will even make some money by following me or by counter trading me and you know, making even more and seeing me suck. So one of the two shall happen. We shall see. And yeah, until next time, happy farming.